Okay, welcome everyone to our MCURC Insights Exchange. It's great to see you all here. This sort of kicks off our school year calendar with the first Insights Exchange of our 2024-25 calendar. And this one is focused on innovations and healthy beverage options from A to T, which is a wonderful and clever name that Sophie came up with. You'll hear from Sophie in a moment. So let me introduce myself to any new members. I am Abby Fairmartino, the Director of Health and Sustainability Programs and Research for the CIA. And so I serve as co-director on the CIA side of the partnership with Stanford. And so I just want to run through today, before I pass it over to Sophie for a brief announcement, the agenda for today. So we're going to hear some quick updates from just our research pipeline, some things to be looking forward to in regards to our annual meeting. And then we're going to kick it off with some beverage innovation case studies. And what we're going to do is first start with one of our corporate members, a spotlight on Cocovibe, and then move to our member institution spotlights. And we'll be hearing today from both Stanford and Vanderbilt. And then we will open up the floor to hear anything that you're all doing with beverage innovation, any questions, and then we'll wrap it up. So I'm going to pass it over to Sophie to introduce herself and share a brief update.
Hi, everyone. Anyone I don't know, I'm Sophie Egan, Director of the Stanford Food Institute and Sustainable Food Systems, and the co-founder and co-director of the Menus of Change University Research Collaborative. Really delighted to have you here today, and really excited that it is now September because it means we're just a couple weeks away from our 11th annual all-member meeting. Hard to believe. It is being hosted by Boston University, who's really put together an extraordinary program. We also have a really exciting pre-meeting tour on Monday, September 30th. I'll put in the chat the agenda so you can see some of the highlights, but we have the chance to tour Fenway Park on Monday, which is pretty amazing, and see the food program there, a really fun networking reception at a food hall called Timeout. Then on the full first day, October 1st, we have an amazing keynote speaker, Dr. Sarah Bleish, who wears many hats, but she'll be joining from Harvard. She's the former Director of Nutrition Security and Health Equity at the USDA, and has just an extraordinary, almost 180 peer-reviewed publications, a real trailblazer when it comes to the things that we all care about, especially the role of health equity related to food systems change. And we have a number of updates from our research pipeline led by our fantastic research and education working group co-chairs, Drs. Peggy Policastro and Ken Chang, along with, of course, Abby. Student fellows, always a big hit. And the BU team has a number of different showcases in store. We also are putting together some real operator-focused panels. We have one with dining directors, one with senior university administrators, to speak to some of the most timely topics of right now. So everything from, cost and meal plan affordability, the value proposition, as well as food security, food insecurity, and the challenges of ensuring equitable access to healthy, sustainable food on campus for everyone. We have an amazing reception and tours, so much more in store that I won't take up all of our time. But the point is, we would love to see you there. If you haven't yet registered, now is a very good time to do so. And we are always happy to answer any questions. I'll put in the chat the email addresses for whom to contact with any questions. And we look forward to it very much. So I think with that, I'll flip it back to you, Abby, to get into the crux of, a couple of other updates first, and then the crux of our presentations.
Yes, thank you, Sophie. So just some updates on the research pipeline and some recent reports to keep in mind. And I will put these in the chat when I'm a little later when I'm not presenting. We had a publication, let's see, many of you participated. I think it's actually 19 MCURC universities participated in the University Procurement for Planetary Health study that was led by Dr. Jackie Bertoldo. There's been a recent academic publication that I will share in the chat that is the first of 3 manuscripts that will be about this project. Super interesting findings. I think it's being really well received as an example and some insights for sustainable procurement in institutional dining settings like colleges and universities. So definitely check that out. And then want to mention also the World Resources Institute playbook for food service, which is a refresh, a 2.0 version of the playbook for plant-rich diets. And so I'll also put that in the chat as a reminder. World Resources Institute is one of our research collaborators. And we're really proud to promote and to get this out into the world. There's a ton of information in that report, so it's a good one to keep around and to search through when you are looking for some strategies that can really help promote more plant-forward eating. And speaking of plant-forward, the last one is our 2024 Plant-Forward Opportunity Report that we produce in collaboration with Data Essential, another research collaborator, alongside Food for Climate League, also research collaborator, and then the CIA and MCURC produced this jointly as well. So this is an opportunity to look at recent perception shifts in consumers related to plant-forward diets. And this recent report in 2024 focuses on the impact of the digital environment. So this is really interesting because a lot of people are looking on their phones and receiving content and ideas around what to eat through social media, and then they're walking in the dining hall. So this gives us a window into how those are connected and opportunities that we may be able to seize based on what they are seeing in a digital landscape. So more on that. I'll put the links in the chat when we can. Okay, final update here from me is a little window into the research pipeline. And I want to share with you two particular updates that are in recruitment right now. And actually very soon, if you're attending the meeting next week, September 10th is our next research and education working group call. I'll be sharing more about the diet diversity study, which is also in early recruitment. So we want to share more about that project. But today I'm going to talk about the Menus of Change Principal Research Project, and I'll give you a little hint at the diet diversity study. FoodWise is already underway. Many of you are signed up for that. So thanks for the institutions who are on this call who are participating in that employee education project. The first project here, and Justine is on this call, so we'll be sure to submit her information in the chat as well. This is a very easy, what I will call a light lift to get involved in research. The idea here is to investigate how the Menus of Change principles are translating into action in university settings and what opportunities exist for improvement. So in terms of the opportunity here, I'm hearing a little background noise. I'm going to mute some folks here. And so the opportunity here is just to connect with Justina and have a brief interview with, if you're a chef or a dining director, that's who she's looking to connect with in terms of semi-structured interviews. And then those will help inform a survey that can be filled out by a broader set of your stakeholders. So you'll be recognized as participating your institution in this report. And this is going to be really impactful because this type of report helps indicate opportunities for the broader set of collaboratives and stakeholders who also follow the Menus of Change principles and are trying to take action in terms of advancing food service in the direction of healthy, sustainable menus. So please reach out to Justina. As I mentioned, when I stop here, I will share her information in the chat. And the last little sneak peek is about the Diet Diversity Project. More updates on this to come next week in our September 10th meeting for the Research and Education Working Group. But this is a really interesting project because it dives a little further, more nuanced to plant-forward diet promotion, which is one of our research priority areas. And in this case, we're looking at what are strategies from a communication and operational standpoint that can help guide students and diners toward more diverse foods, more diverse plant-forward foods. And this is with an aim to look at how we might improve diet quality of those that we're serving. Which diet diversity also impacts, has positive environmental impacts as well as public health impacts. So really interesting project to get involved in. This is a funded research project, so you can hear more about that next week and then at the annual meeting as well. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen here and begin with the case studies. So without further ado, we will introduce our first presenter, and that is Amy Westfeld. And please correct me if I'm saying your last name wrong, apologize.
All good?
And Amy, okay, great. Amy is the Director of Customer Experience at Cocovibe. Cocovibe is one of our corporate members. And Amy will be sharing today about healthy beverages on menus that align with menus of change principles and a collaboration with Tufts. So I will pass the floor to Amy. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Abby. I'm getting my screen up and ready here. Everybody should be able to see that now.
Yes.
Wanted to thank everyone for the opportunity to share our Cocovibe innovation with you all today. Also want to thank Patty Klaas, the Senior Director at Tufts Dining, for joining us today and collaborating with us on the information you're about to see. You know, it's interesting because part of the reason that Cocovibe chose to launch in the college and university food service channel before any other channel is because of the menus of change, sustainability, and nutrition initiatives. They're really aligned with how we like to think about ourselves. So today we'll share with you how we work with Tufts to support their menus of change initiatives, and I'll get right into it. So a little background on Cocovibe. We actually align with 7 of the 24 menus of change principles. We share the menus of change desire to help both operators and students be a more positive force in the world. Here on the Cocovibe side, we do it in 3 ways. One, we're super sustainable. We slash carbon emissions and we dramatically reduce packaging waste. We also do it through our nutrition. We're organic, additive-free, low sugar, high potassium, all the things that we would want our students to drink. And then lastly, through our Cocovibe grants, we help both students and operators improve the condition of either a community in need or the environment. So that's kind of how Cocovibe and menus of change are a little bit synced up. Just to quickly talk about our sustainability story, we're tremendously beneficial to the environment. In comparison with other dispensed drinks, we are a 16:1 mix ratio. I think some others are like 8:1 and 5:1. And, you know, I think inherent in any dispensed beverage is that concept of sustainability. In our case, 1 pallet of our product makes as much product as 10 pallets of 12-ounce healthy beverages. And that's because we're transporting beverage concentrate and they're transporting the water that you actually all use to make the product. So this kind of nets out to about a 90% reduction in carbon emissions and in plastic and packaging waste. I think more importantly, we're really good for people and the bodies of our students. We are made of only 2 ingredients, organic coconut water and organic fruit. So it's a ton of electrolytes, which is gonna be really important in my next slide. But we're without all the nonsense of sports drinks, no sodium, no chemicals, nothing like that. Again, just the 2 ingredients. We're 100% juice, and we've actually got 2/3 less sugar than some of the fruit juices that are on the beverage bars. No added sugar, no preservatives, no coloring or flavoring. And we actually have more potassium than a banana, and only 6 grams of natural sugar. And again, that's only the sugar that comes with our organic fruit, and no added sugar at all. So, but the real kind of alignment really comes around the idea of our potassium story. So menus of change principles, for example, the sort of plant-based at the center of the plate, reducing salt, things like that. So the menus of change principles have that sort of potassium sodium balance in mind. And we can see here that in our world, that balance is kind of off because most Americans are taking in twice as much sodium as they are potassium. So Cocovibe works to correct that. I don't know if everybody knows the full story of electrolytes. We actually did a white paper on the purpose of electrolytes in the body. And electrolytes are really all about balance. And it's making that balance between the sodium outside the cell and the potassium on the inside of the cell, and electrolytes help that equal out. And a lot of people think in the world of electrolytes, hey, that's really for my athletes, and that's actually not the truth. It's not just about athletics. It's about your brain, your organs, your body, and your overall holistic well-being. So electrolytes aren't just for athletes, it's really goes beyond that. It really becomes brain food. So we see this imbalance, and we're going to move on and see that it's not just the food that Menus of Change is putting in the center of the plate, all the plant forward items. It's also that the beverage bar presents a great opportunity to kind of correct this imbalance even further. So, we're all eliminating salt. We're all trying to get rid of processed foods. We're all trying to do more plant-based, plant-forward meals. So in this case, some of our beverages, are doing, they're not doing anything to correct this imbalance. In some cases, they're too far on the sodium side, so that balance still isn't met. Where Cocovibe comes in is that our electrolytes are really addressing this imbalance without adding more sodium to the program. So moving on, just to kind of put the world of our beverage bar in context, Cocovibe really falls on that nutritious beverage side because we're not doing anything unhealthy. And conversely, to some of the more neutral products on the beverage bar, your waters and your flavored waters and coffees and teas, they're not doing anything to correct that imbalance. They're not doing anything bad. They're just not helping correct the electrolyte sodium imbalance. We over with fruit juice and some of the alternative milks are actually doing more to correct that imbalance without the addition of sodium. So we've talked a little bit about, we actually have not talked at all about the student profile that is most attracted to Cocovibe. And we have been giving it a lot of thought, and we think that we're really not necessarily a niche product. We appeal to a lot of different kinds of student profiles. Everybody from, your athletes to people who have partied too late the night before, because everybody knows electrolytes help you feel better the next day. People who are kosher, people who are health conscious, people who are exercising, and students of certain ethnic backgrounds that already kind of have grown up drinking coconut water with their particular diet. So, our nutrition and our taste appeals to a lot of folks, but even more so, we appeal because students tend to rally behind brands that positively impact society. So here we are as Cocovibe, our potassium electrolytes are trying to optimize human potential. We are aligned with that sustainability story, the reduction in carbon emissions, packaging waste, plastic. And we're also doing something that I think is pretty unique, or we think is pretty unique. And we're trying to empower and fund youth to make the world a better place. And the way that we do that is through our student grants. We believe that students in the world have wonderful ideas in terms of how they can positively impact and change society for the better. What they don't have is any money to do that. So that's where we come in. We award a grant every week to students with an idea, a vision, a plan to do something awesome for the world, whether it's something for their community, something environmental. And what we do is we take the applications online and we review them. And when we find somebody who has a great idea, we go and we award that grant with the dining team. And it really gives students an opportunity and the community actually to kind of celebrate together and really, kind of drives home the idea that, all you really need is the idea. And, hopefully you can get support from us or from someone in terms of that idea to make the world a better place. And just kind of as a point of reference, we actually awarded a grant to a student at Tufts University this past spring. Interestingly enough, her program was really putting the world of alternative proteins and plant-based proteins on the map. So that really actually ties in with the research question that was at the end of the opening remarks. So in any case, we went up to Tufts. The community and the dining staff celebrated her win. And she is off to do great things in the world. I believe she was a graduate this year. So that is sort of the picture of Olivia and the grant award. At this point, I would like to move over to Patty. I'm going to change slides. She's going to talk a little bit more about the intake and the programming at Tufts relative to Cocovibe.
Just quickly, folks, our commitment to reducing sugary beverages this year looks like only 50% of anything menus in our dining centers would therefore contain no added sugar. I'm seeing some interesting conversation in the chat, which if we don't get a chance to respond here, I'm sure we'll get an answer to you. And so we're looking for better for you beverages and made the commitment in the fall of 2023 to introduce Cocovibe in our two student all you care to eat dining locations. Carmichael serves about a third as many students as DeWitt. DeWitt is a larger facility, and you can see that the inaugural consumption of beverage in the school year seemed to mimic that fairly closely. We find some students are very familiar with coconut water. It does have an earthier flavor if you're familiar, and so we are always looking for opportunities to entice students to try it. From an operational standpoint, our general assistants find it fairly easy to mix, certainly easy to monitor and replenish as needed. I think we're going to work on frequency of cleaning, but it's all very, very simple. And overall, the Cocovibe does have a strong brand story that's easy to promote that students we think are quite interested in. So we see the first year as successful and a lot of opportunity in the upcoming year. One thing we weren't able to do to the extent we'd like to is monitor overall beverage consumption to see if this particular product is taking market share away from others. But it's certainly on the map, and I think has the potential to grow.
Awesome, thank you. And before we wrap it up, I just want to make one quick point in terms of your beverage pouring rights agreements. Typically, we have typically we're able to be offered because most contracts allow for the opportunity to serve product that the main beverage company doesn't already make. So as an organic electrolyte drink, we don't have that conflict with the big guys. So we also want to close by thanking the rest of our Menus of Change schools for serving us on their campuses.
Great. Thank you, Amy. Thanks so much. And thank you, Patty, for sharing more contextually your experience at Tufts. There are two questions for you in the chat, Amy, and I think we have time for them. One is related to the added sugar claims with apple juice concentrate in a product. So there's some conversation there. And then the other is sharing more specific student ideas that have been funded by Cocovibe recently.
Okay. I'm not sure if I'm getting the question on the apple juice concentrate.
Amy,
Oh,
you want me to take that question since you haven't had a chance to see it yet?
sure. I'm not looking at the chat, so thanks.
Hi, this is Dudley Fitzpatrick. I work with Amy. The question is around how are we saying it's no added sugar when we have apple juice concentrate. Excuse me 1 second. I think the point that we're trying to make is that we have an incredibly low amount of sugar, 6 grams of sugar, and it's all natural. So because it comes from a natural resource in our brain, we're stating that it's not added. So it's not an added sugar that's coming from sugar. It's a sugar that's coming from fruit. So because it was a fruit-based natural product, and our products are all concentrate, because we're not adding concentrate to a product. Our product is 100% concentrate. So I guess under the claim, if a concentrate is an added sugar, then 100% of our product would be an added sugar, if that makes any sense. So the
Yeah,
point.
Dudley, do you mind
Yeah.
just maybe putting your email in the chat, because there's just a question so that we can maybe take that offline to continue
Yeah.
just, those who have questions about this. And then Amy, likewise, if you don't mind adding some of the ideas that other students have that were ideas that were funded, that would be great, because it might be relevant to our student fellow program, where we can share that more broadly with students who are part of MCURC institutions. So thank you so much. I'm going to move forward. I'm going to pass it to Sophie to introduce our next presenter.
Yeah, thank you so much, Patty, Amy, and Dudley. Great to learn about that. So as many of you know, with these Insights Exchanges, our goal is to share kind of a number of bursts of inspiration about how different members and sponsors and research collaborators are really bringing to life the given theme or principle of each webinar. So to round out the rest of the session, we have two member spotlights about healthy beverages. And the first is from Cassidy Ozawara, who is the Food Allergy and Inclusive Nutrition Programs Manager at Stanford. So in Stanford, Dining, Hospitality, and Auxiliaries in Residential Dining and Enterprises. So I think I saw you on here, Cassidy.
Yeah.
And the floor is yours if you want to go ahead and share your screen. And let us know if there's any challenges with that one.
Okay. How are we looking?
Perfect. Beautiful.
Good. Okay. So yes, thank you, Sophie. I'm excited to be here today to chat about healthy beverages and better options and what we've been able to do at Stanford. I basically have been here for nearly 8 years, and so I've seen a great deal of innovation come from our chef teams, and when it comes to the options that are available and what we're able to do. I know when I first started, we did have soda or pop, wherever you come from, available in the dining halls, and I think we were a little hesitant about what would happen if those were removed. And I know we did it over the like summer to fall transition period. So when students came back, we kind of braced for impact, and nobody said anything. There was no complaints about not having soda in the dining halls. And so that was just really interesting to see that shift that's happening. And so I did want to talk a little bit about that as well, the shift within the consumer. So let's see here. I can do next. Yeah, so a brief history. I think everyone here is probably pretty well versed on, the beverage history, but I did want to just go through it. Obviously, water is one of the best beverages to drink. As a dietitian, of course, I would recommend that. But with the advent of agriculture and the domestication of animals, we were able to come to have milk. And then beer and wine. There was also coffee and tea. And then we're kind of at this place where it's the, SSBs, the sweetened sugary beverages, and those are typically things that are going to be anything with added sugar or the high fructose corn syrup, fruit juice concentrates, and those type of things. And then that also is kind of under that umbrella would be the sports drinks. They're advertised really to replete electrolytes. So the sodium, potassium, magnesium, and calcium, glucose and fluids, and then also energy drinks that can have as much sugar as soft drinks. And then we can't forget about soda, of course, that came about in probably the 1880s. So in terms of growing trends and where we are now, I think what we've seen definitely in the dining halls and what's been reported from consumers in general is just that consumers are showing that they are more health conscious and are making decisions based on health and nutrition concerns, hands down. So there's been a lot of trends for beverages that offer benefits alongside of hydration. So there's really a shift towards this nutrient-dense functional drink that is new and exciting. Anything with overall wellness and any kind of beverage that can really manage like glucose levels or improve health, and just improve sustained energy. I think right now what has been reported is that there's 39% of beverage sales are dedicated to products that promote health benefits, like those functional beverages, and they're really catering to a variety of different health needs. So it could be mood enhancements, detoxification, digestive health, immune support, and really just, again, reflecting this ongoing trend towards this health conscious consumer. I will say I know they have to be very careful that there is a balance when it comes to marketing these functional beverages, because, you know, many of these bold claims are not backed by scientific research. So it is important to just make that note. And then another thing here is sustainability. So that really does remain crucial for consumers. And there is this demand for eco-friendly practices from those favorited beverage brands. So whether that's sustainable packaging or ethical sourcing, any kind of use of upcycled or organic ingredients, you know, consumers see this environmentally conscious choices as those that benefit both them and the planet and themselves. So it's this kind of symbiotic relationship. So a couple more things with the growing trends just to touch on. Like I said, and we've heard, there really are these shifts from the sugary beverages to alternatives. Two interesting things I just wanted to point out from this slide was that you know, fiber is up 175%, as well as magnesium ingredients in beverages. That's up 131. So I just found that to be a little bit interesting, and kind of, you know, a new area of research could certainly go there. And then when it comes to, you know, what we've done in the dining halls with the innovation of our sugar beverage solutions, since I've been here, so almost 8 years, we've had that infused water station through and through. The spa waters, they're beautiful. They really do serve a lot of different purposes, and the students love them. So we've kept those going strong. Any kind of plant-based milks, horchata offering alternatives. So like the almond, the oat, the soy, even rice milk. And then kombucha and fermented drinks, introducing any kind of probiotic that you can that is going to have those gut health benefits is going to be really beneficial. We did actually have kombucha on tap at one point, and that was really fun just as a test. And we didn't end up keeping that in the dining halls for obvious reasons, but we do now do tasting tables. So with Chef Heidi, we have tasting tables where she's done the kombucha from scratch, and basically will give students, you know, 1 to 2 ounce shots of these kombucha, which is just great, and they love it. And then there's also, again, this trend for the non-alcoholic drink. So we had a really fun play on sangria and just called it Stangria. And so I know the students loved that as well. We kept it in those bubblers, and so it was just very lively and colorful in there. And so that was also a lot of fun. Let's see. Lastly, let's see, for implementation, we've really enjoyed the use of these bubblers. We don't have this exact one, but similar, to be able to put a lot of different beverages in there. So we've done from scratch limeades, or, you know, triple berry lemonades with very little added sugar, if none. And then cold brews with chicory. We've done teas and Thai iced tea with just lower sugar. Agua frescas have been a huge hit. So we do a lot of those. And like I said, horchatas, I really loved one of our oat milk matchas that we did in the bubblers. And then we've also done like a homemade Gatorade to really help with those electrolytes. So really, when it comes to those infused waters, some of our fan favorites have been, you know, anything you can do with the sliced citrus, the fruits or zest from lemon, lime, orange, or grapefruit. This is one from just yesterday that we had. I didn't catch it at the beginning, but these are just constant in the dining halls and are always so flavorful and fun. Another idea is that students can make their own, which is fun. Anytime you can let them customize, they really, really enjoy that. And then muddling berries and things like that can be really helpful too. So we also have a local farm. It's the O'Donoghue farm, just kind of right outside the door of my office, but we can use a lot of like the flowers and things from there, any kind of edible flowers or, you know, the herbs that they have, which is really great to keep it sustainable. And then also just utilize or repurpose any items or rinds or things that, you know, weren't going to be used entirely with service, and then put those into the spa waters. So that's just been a little bit about what we've been doing here. I probably can't remember everything, but that's a good amount of the majority. Also, any kind of green drink that you can do, and then add some carbonation like a soda water. That really is a really fun kind of like play on a spritzer that we do as well. And so that's just another option. And that is all for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Cassidy. Oh, so many good ideas in there. I especially love seeing the trends. That slide was really cool. And Stangria, gotta love that play on words. That's really fun. We have just a couple of minutes. If anyone has questions for Cassidy, you can drop them in the chat or raise your hand. Yeah. Sorry, B.S. Bradford.
Yes, I have a question. Good afternoon, everyone. Great presentation, Cassidy. And I was just kind of wondering, I know I find that, so my background is maybe a little different from some of you that presented today. So I'm actually in the classroom, but I teach hospitality. So I'm not necessarily in the trenches per se like you are. But my question or my statement is, I'm sorry that I'm a little nasally, but I have COVID, so forgive me for being stuffy. But so I noticed you mentioned that students are wanting to be more health conscious. And I agree with that, but I also wonder sometimes if they know what that means. Simply being, I see them drinking more Starbucks, because most of these campuses have Starbucks, and I see them almost daily with these sugary, fatty drinks. And so I don't know that they're processing that. And since it was beverages, that just kind of came down on me, because I've even said to some of them, you may as well eat a Big Mac. I was like, you know, unless, you know, you don't do meat for whatever reason. But it's in terms of sugar and fat, you know, and I even had one student at my previous university, I'm currently at North Carolina Central, was so funny. Her mother, she had gained quite a bit of weight. And she said, and culturally it was a little different. So the way her mom communicated with her, it would maybe not be something we would say in the US, but at any rate, it would maybe something my mother would have said, because I'm of a different era. But she said, her mom said to her, what are you going to do with all of this? And kind of like patted her. And she literally stopped drinking the Starbucks daily drink, and probably within a month, because of course she's young, her metabolism is off. So she probably lost easily 10, 15 pounds just from doing that. And she said to me, she said, I didn't realize, you know, there were so many calories or whatever. So not disputing what you're saying, because I hear students saying, oh, I want to be healthy, I want to do this, because I've been teaching now starting in 2005. And
Mhm.
so I've seen the trends, but I also see them, and most of our campuses we have a beautiful Starbucks in North Carolina Central. Most of our campuses have Starbucks, and daily they're indulging. So that's kind of, I don't know if it's a question or just a statement, but I really enjoyed your
Thank you.
presentation. It was great, the trends and all of that. And I did like look you up on LinkedIn too. I was like, oh, I like her information. Let me see who she is. So if you get an alert from LinkedIn, I'm not a stalker. I was just trying to see, like who you are.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you
Thanks.
so much. I hope you feel better soon. Sorry to hear you have COVID.
Thank you.
Yeah,
It's just
Cassidy,
spooky. Yeah.
so we're gonna just keep moving because we have one more presenter. Sorry to have to cut you off, but Cassidy, did you want to respond to the question about kind of do students understand what it means to be healthy, and especially on the point about the Starbucks beverages, not
Yeah,
about Starbucks beverages, but maybe sort of dessert in beverage form, right?
yeah, I think both can be true. And I think with the trends, you'll see a little bit of everything with influencers. There's these really indulgent drinks, and then there's also like, how are you the most healthy? So I think just the education piece of letting people know how much sugar is in there, and then they can decide for themselves if that's something that they want to have.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much, Cassidy. Really phenomenal insights and so many good menu ideas. We do have a question here from Bradley for you, if you can address that in the chat. And we're going to move on to our final presenter. We did want to try to leave a little bit of time at the end to hear from anyone just kind of more informally, but I want to welcome Brian Cochran, the Director of Culinary Operations at Vanderbilt, to talk about an exciting juicing platform and how that is a source of healthy beverage innovation. So Brian, over to you.
Right on. Thanks for the opportunity to share. Ours is a relatively simple concept that I want to share about, and that is a juicing platform in our power plant dining hall. This summer, we bought 2 of these RoboCoupe Ultra juicer machines and put them in our power plant dining hall. A little bit of background about the power plant. So it features some 4 local farm partnerships. It highlights really plant-centered and plant-forward dining. And in lieu of nutritional panels published for our dishes, we really highlight nutritional values of the ingredients and the plants. So the dining hall is free of the top 9 allergens. It has a saute action station, an ancient grain station, a global meats, and then the juice platform creates the last platform that rounds out the dining hall with the juice shots. So bought 2 of these juicers this summer. This is a picture from a preview tour of senior leadership of the campus, but basically we just do 2 or 3 daily juice blends in the form of a shot. 3 ounces might not even be that much all the time, to 2.5 ounces. We can use vegetable trimmings from the saute platform. We can use things that might have been on the salad bar. They're still fine, but they don't look as attractive to the eye to put in a bowl or a plate, but we could juice them, no problem. So we just have chalkboard sign that we put up there, what the different juices of the day are. And then any of that juice, which is left over from today, we could use it the next day, or we also use it in, like when Cassidy was sharing the picture of the bubblers. So we have a couple of those bubblers on the beverage counter there, free of the top 9 allergens. We're limited on the beverages. We actually took the broadline contract beverage machine out of there. So we use that as a base for an infused water in the bubblers. And then you're seeing the back of Chef Julian in this picture. He's really driven to make this a 0 pre-consumer waste dining hall. So these machines dispense the pulp from the fruit and the vegetables into a basket at the back. He is saving that pulp and playing with it, trying to figure out how to make, you know, stocks and things like that from it. But the ones that are more fruity, he's giving to our pastry chef. And she has been making curds like a lemon curd or traditional lemon curd, but she's using the pulp from the citrus and fruit and sometimes even the beets and things like that to create a curd for some of her pastries. Weird picture of me, but what I'm holding here is a sign that talks about that demonstrates how we do the nutrition. So like I said, instead of a nutritional panel, what we're doing is highlighting benefits of ingredients. I think this one says lemon on it, and like the you know, what a good shot of citrus does for you. Ginger, you know, turmeric, beet with the nightshades, you know, the dark shades, different things like that, and just trying to highlight the nutritional and health benefits of it, and especially tailor that in the messaging towards academic performance, towards, you know, how your brain works and what essential elements you need in your diet for your brain to work really well.
You
Those
need
are just,
anything?
those round signs are just on magnets, and we can interchange them daily.
Great.
And that's what we're doing for juice.
Very cool. And yeah, I was trying to find a link. I can track it down. I'll try to check it out. But there's a poster for kids, you know, K-12 that reminds me of what you were saying, of really the functional aspects, and it kind of goes, I think it was half a plant, IFPA, and kids eat in color, and it was just like, you know, orange fruits do this for your, you know, vitamins, and you can see in the dark, and red vegetables do this. So emphasizing those functional benefits, which is also what, you know, what was shared, you know, kind of earlier on about kind of the health definitions of health, and how are students perceiving that, right? Can they have an immediate benefit that they see? Any questions for Brian? I think the zero pre-consumer food waste dining hall goal is very cool.
I mean, he's trying to talk somebody into his beef trimmings that they can either grind them or reduce them.
Yeah.
So that's right now, that's about the only pre-consumer waste we have is trimmings on cuts of beef that go into the global meats, because we typically don't trim a lot from our chicken. So
yeah. We have a question from Melissa here for you about the labor involvement in offering the juice shots.
It's a one person for a few hours can really crank out. I can't remember I think Abby's going to share the deck, so you can look up. I put the specific RoboCoop info cut sheet on there. Capacity is really high, so in a couple hours you can really crank out a lot of juice. This dining hall serves about 300 to 400 per meal period. It's in one of our residential colleges, so it doesn't have 3,000 students coming in trying to grab the juice shot. So there's that benefit. But in a few hours, one person can effectively juice. And these juicers, you do have to peel citrus. So lemons and limes, you have to peel. They don't process the thick pulp of the rind as well. But when they do that, then they steep the rind in water and use that as lemonade or limeade or whatever for their bubblers. Again, he's bound and determined to not have pre-consumer waste. So
very cool, super inspiring, and as Abby noted, very related to our repurpose or the purpose project. Bradley, quick question from you, and then we're gonna open it up after that. Yeah, Bradley.
Yeah, thanks, Brian. Appreciate that. And you said something that we're super interested. So I'm at Holy Cross in Worcester, Mass, and you had said that you had removed your sodas from your broadline vendor, and I presume that's specifically in that one dining hall. But I would love to hear more about that process and when you guys did that. was there communication with student government associations, or was there a revolt for that? That's something that we've been thinking about doing on our end, and kind of haven't really reached out to anybody yet, but wanting to hear more about that thought.
And Chef Julian has joined. I see him on here. Chef, if you want to unmute, have you had backlash for removing the Pepsi machine?
Yeah, there's been a little bit of backlash. I wouldn't say that they've come directly to us complaining about it. I mean, like you said, we have a variety of options. We keep fresh lemonade. We'll do different infused waters with our juice concentrates, that sort of thing. But yeah, I mean, they would definitely like more options. And so trying to fill that need for them has, I think, helped a little bit, but they still want soda.
So we are under a Pepsi contract, Brandon, and of course, like many universities, it's not in our hands. It's in the hands of the athletics department. They're the one that negotiates the big branding contract. They're the ones that get all of the kickback from it. We just have to serve it on the campus. We have already, with Pepsi, we don't serve the traditional sodas. We serve their, I can't remember what the name of the brand is now, the product, Stubborn. They're Stubborn sodas. So it's a lowered sugar cut. So they already don't have Pepsi and Mountain Dew and Dr. Pepper and things like that on tap anyway. Gatorade is the only sort of recognizable name on on our fountain machines that they're really missing from Bronson, where Chef is.
Yeah, great. Super interesting. Thank you so much, Brian, and for all the excellent questions. So in just a couple minutes, I wanted to see if anyone else had done some beverage innovation, healthy beverage innovation, that is, that they wanted to share. Thanks, Keith. You can pop it in the chat, just as kind of bursts of inspiration. Or if anyone would like to share, you could raise your hand and let us know kind of an interesting anecdote on the healthy beverage innovation front. Anyone else doing cool things with plant milks or oat milks? Yeah, Chef Matt.
Yeah, so Bradley, I responded to your message when I back in 2017 when I got here to UNT. We run a 100% plant-based dining hall, and when I came in, I was tasked with taking out the soda machines and doing infused waters and a house-made lemonade, and like we did it over the summer and opened in the fall. I think I had one student ask about soda machines and whatnot, but we kind of tied it into one of the reasons some people do follow a plant-based diet is for health reasons. So we really messaged that and tied it into it, and it's never been an issue moving forward. And we do offer infused waters in pretty much all of our dining halls, but we still have some soda machines in our dining halls for those that opt into that as well. And then just going as part of repurposing now, I've seen with my team the repurposing part of this, using fruit skins and fruit cores into making beverages and having those offered in our operations as well. So yeah, so it really comes down to how you message it and how the educational part of how you talk to the students and kind of get them on board and kind of just reason with them why you're doing the things that you do. So
Yeah, thank you so much. Got time for maybe one more if anyone else wants to share. Melissa, interesting. Anything you want to add on that, Melissa? Just a plug. The only thing I'll just add from having, been part of the collaborative for all these years and heard from a lot of members, often institutions aren't in a position to, not have soda, period. And there are some innovations that you can still do in that scenario. So I just wanted to make a plug for CU Boulder. I don't see anyone here on that team, but I was really blown away when I visited and saw how they were getting creative with things like rotation in the fountains, choice architecture, like at the, leveraging the fact that students are busy and having the healthier options on the outside and the less healthy options on the inside, just even of the spouts, like brilliant, right? And then also working with kind of like the parsing of different options at different locations versus necessarily having to have every type of soda at every location. So I think it's really exciting to hear how far this has come. I mean, I know it's been something that a lot of schools have wanted to do over the years, but just to say if that's, not yet, and at your disposal, there's still some cool innovations you can do within that. And then thank you so much for sharing that, Melissa. Wonderful. Well, really extraordinary crowdsourced insights. I'll let Abby wrap things up for us. And again, just thanks so much to all of our speakers. Great information.
Yes, thank you so much. Super interesting. And thank you, Sophie, for those anecdotes at the end for those who don't have flexibility in terms of soda contracts, but can use choice architecture and other creative placement ways to guide your students toward more sustainable and healthy beverages. So thank you again to Cocovibe, to Stanford and Vanderbilt for presenting today. What I want to just close out with are some opportunities to engage with our MCURC collaborative and with our other collaboratives at our CIA summits and gatherings. So upcoming in Napa, at our Napa campus, we have Worlds of Flavor, which is this year focused on migration and borders and sort of how different cuisines have moved across the years and the implications of that. It's going to be a super interesting event for those really wanting a lot of inspiration around global cuisine and just some food studies ideas in there as well. So there's a discount code you can use for registration. That's November 6th to 8th. The Global Plant Forward Summit is also at our Napa campus, April 8th through 10th. And this is more of a chef and culinarian focused event. Really a lot of chef demos from around the world, really emphasizing our approach to plant forward and, providing some inspiration for you to take home and incorporate into your kitchens. And then of course, our Menus of Change Summit is June 4th and 5th in Hyde Park. I'm already busy at developing the program for that, and hope to see many of you there in June. We do host a networking event for members of our collaboratives at these summits as well. So hope to see you there, and we'll let you know when registration for Menus of Change opens. And with that, I will send you off into your day unless there's anything else that has come up in the chat. And yes, some emails are being shared here. Thanks so much for spending some time with us. Thanks for those who presented, and we hope that you are inspired to continue innovating with beverages in your dining locations, and we'll see you soon, hopefully at the annual meeting.
Take care, everyone.
Thanks so much, everyone.
Wait.